When people think about which cat is the strongest, they think about size. The tiger is the largest cat alive, so the tiger must be the strongest. The lion is the apex predator of the African savanna, so the lion must be the strongest. These assumptions are understandable and almost entirely wrong. Strength is not the same thing as size, and when researchers compared the muscle genetics of every cat species, looking at the specific genes that control how muscles are built, how much power they can generate, and how efficiently they can deliver force, the results produced a ranking that looks almost nothing like a list of cat species sorted by body weight. The differences between species were larger than anyone expected, and the cat that sits at the top of the strength genetics comparison is not the one that most people would name if asked. Strength genetics in cats refers to the composition and quality of the muscle tissue, not just its quantity. All cat muscle is built from two basic types of fiber: fast twitch fibers that generate explosive power quickly but fatigue fast, and slow twitch fibers that produce lower power but sustain effort over time. Cats as a family are heavily weighted toward fast twitch fibers, which is why they are explosive sprinters and ambush hunters rather than long-distance pursuit predators. But the ratio of fiber types, the density of the fibers, the structure of the proteins inside them, and the efficiency of the signals the nervous system uses to activate them all vary across species. These differences are written in the genome, and when researchers compared the relevant genetic regions across all 41 cat species, the variation they found was substantially larger than the size differences between species would predict. The cheetah enters the strength comparison near the bottom, and this is the first surprise for most people. The cheetah reaches 100 kilometers per hour and is the fastest land animal on Earth. People assume that an animal with that kind of speed must also have extraordinary muscle power. What the cheetah actually has is an extraordinary ability to convert muscle contraction into forward momentum, which is a specific and narrow form of physical performance. Its muscles are optimized for stride frequency and length over flat ground, not for generating raw force at the point of contact. The cheetah cannot drag prey. It cannot fight off a lion or a hyena that wants to steal its kill, which is why it loses its food to scavengers more often than any other large cat. Its grip strength is below what you'd expect for an animal its size, because its claws don't retract fully and are used more like cleats for traction than as weapons for gripping. The cheetah's strength genetics reflect an animal that bet everything on speed and paid for it in every other physical category. The lion arrives in the comparison with a reputation that its strength genetics only partially support. Lions are the heaviest African cat, capable of taking down buffalo and giraffe, and the males in particular carry enormous muscle mass in the neck and shoulders. In absolute terms, a lion is an extraordinarily powerful animal. But the genetic architecture behind that power shows something interesting. The lion's strength is optimized for the specific demands of group hunting, where individual lions work together to bring down large prey, and for male-on-male combat over territory and mating rights. The lion's muscle genetics are built around short, intense efforts in a social context. The genes controlling endurance strength, the ability to maintain force output over an extended solo effort, are less strongly expressed in lions than in several other cat species. A lion's power is designed to work best when it's part of a group. Isolated, its pound-for-pound performance is below what its size suggests. The leopard's strength genetics tell a different story and produce a genuinely surprising result when you look at what the leopard actually does with its body. A leopard regularly carries prey heavier than its own body weight up into trees, hauling carcasses to heights of 5 or 6 meters to keep them away from lions and hyenas. This behavior is so demanding that researchers who first documented it didn't initially believe the reports. A 60-kilogram leopard carrying a 90-kilogram antelope vertically up a tree trunk
is performing an act of strength that would be impossible for most animals its size. The genetic regions controlling the leopard's shoulder and forelimb musculature show strong signals of selection, meaning these traits were consistently favored over many generations. The leopard's strength genetics are not about raw power in a single burst.
They're about the sustained ability to move very heavy loads against gravity, which is a different kind of strength from what the lion or tiger uses, and one that the leopard has developed to an extreme degree. The tiger enters the comparison as the strongest cat in absolute terms, and in this category, it wins without contest. A large male tiger weighing 300 kilograms can drag a buffalo carcass that 12 adult men working together couldn't move. It can carry prey items heavier than itself while running. The raw force it generates in a single strike can break the neck or spine of large prey instantly. In terms of total power output, no cat comes close to the tiger. The genetic architecture behind this is exactly what you'd expect from the largest cat on Earth. Extreme muscle mass, dense, fast-twitch fibers, and skeletal proportions that concentrate enormous force through the forelimbs and jaw. But absolute strength and pound-for-pound strength are different measurements, and when you control for body weight, the tiger's position in the ranking drops. Its strength per kilogram of body mass is lower than several smaller cats, because maintaining 300 kilograms of muscle requires substantial energy overhead that limits how much of the tiger's total mass can be pure force-generating tissue. The snow leopard enters the comparison with a genetic profile that researchers found unexpectedly extreme. Snow leopards live at altitudes where the air contains significantly less oxygen than at sea level, and their muscle genetics have adapted to extract maximum power from limited oxygen supply. The genes controlling how efficiently their muscle tissue uses oxygen during explosive efforts show modifications that are not found in any other cat species at the same level. What this means in practice is that a snow leopard can generate near maximum explosive power at altitudes where a lion or tiger would be seriously compromised. In its home environment, the snow leopard's effective strength per kilogram exceeds what the raw genetic numbers suggest when measured at sea level, because the environmental conditions where it evolved amplified the advantage of its specific genetic adaptations. Its hind legs in particular carry a muscle-to-bone ratio that researchers described as extreme, producing the jumping and climbing power that lets it move across mountain terrain that no other large cat can navigate. The puma's position in the strength comparison continues the pattern established in the jumping height ranking. It performs far above what its official classification as a small cat would suggest. The puma can carry prey 3 times its own body weight up steep slopes. Its forelimb genetics show the same signals of strong selection seen in the leopard, reflecting a hunting history that regularly involves moving large prey through difficult terrain. Pound for pound, the puma outperforms the lion in most strength metrics that researchers have measured directly, and its performance on force generation tests relative to body weight puts it above the tiger. The puma's genome contains a combination of muscle fiber density and power transmission efficiency that produces strength numbers inconsistent with its classification. Whatever category the puma belongs to based on its throat anatomy, its strength genetics put it in a different league from most animals its size. The jaguar sits at the top of the pound-for-pound strength comparison among the big cats, and the gap between the jaguar and the next closest competitor is larger than most people expect. The jaguar has the most powerful bite of any cat on Earth, strong enough to bite directly through a turtle shell or a skull. But its extreme strength isn't limited to the jaw. The jaguar's forelimb and shoulder genetics show the highest density of fast-twitch power fibers of any big cat species, and its overall muscle-to-body weight ratio is higher than the lion or tiger. The jaguar hunts prey in a completely different way from other big cats. Instead of targeting the throat or suffocating prey, It bites directly through the skull or spine. This killing method requires not just a strong bite, but the ability to position and hold very large prey while delivering that bite, which demands extraordinary overall body strength, not just jaw strength. The genetic regions that support this hunting style are more strongly expressed in the jaguar than in any other cat species researchers have tested. The wild card in the strength genetics comparison is not a big cat at all. The black-footed cat is the smallest wild cat in Africa, weighing between 1 and 2.5 kilograms, roughly the size of a small house cat. Its strength genetics, measured per gram of body weight, are the most extreme of any cat species ever studied. Its hunting success rate exceeds 60%, higher than any big cat. It kills prey animals that are significantly larger than itself multiple times per night. The muscle fiber density in its legs and shoulders, scaled to body size, is higher than the jaguar's. The genes controlling its predatory drive show no sign of the domestication-related softening seen in house cats, or the endurance optimization seen in pursuit hunters. Per gram of body weight, the black-footed cat is the most physically extreme predator in the cat family, and its genome reflects this with genetic signatures that researchers found genuinely surprising when they first appeared in the data. What the full comparison revealed about the gap between species is that size explains far less of the strength variation than expected, and hunting strategy explains far more. The cats at the top of the pound-for-pound ranking are the ones that evolved to hunt alone, take down prey much larger than themselves, and move that prey through difficult terrain afterward. The jaguar, the puma, the leopard, and the black-footed cat all share this hunting profile, and all of them show extreme strength genetics relative to their body size. The cats that rely on group hunting, like the lion, or on speed rather than power, like the cheetah, show strength genetics that are less extreme per unit of body weight, because their hunting strategy doesn't require maximum individual strength. The genome of each species is a record of what that species needed to survive, and the strength comparison makes the differences between those survival strategies visible at the level of individual genes.
The tiger sits in an interesting position in this analysis. The absolute strongest and the pound-for-pound moderate. This isn't a failure of the tiger. It's a reflection of the fact that the tiger's strategy is the opposite of the jaguar's. The tiger gets big enough that absolute size becomes the weapon. A 300-kilogram predator doesn't need to be maximally efficient per kilogram because the total force it can generate at any size efficiency is still overwhelming. The jaguar gets strong enough per kilogram that it can punch far above its weight class. Both strategies work. Both have survived for millions of years. The strength genetics comparison doesn't produce a winner in any simple sense. It produces a map of how different cats solved the same problem, with different tools, in different environments, over millions of years of independent evolution. The gap between the species that researchers found wasn't a surprise because one cat was weak. It was a surprise because the variation was so much larger than size alone predicted. The genetic comparison also revealed something unexpected about how recently some of these differences developed. The jaguar and the lion share a common ancestor from roughly 2 to 3 million years ago, which is relatively recent in evolutionary terms. In that time, the two lineages developed muscle genetics that produced dramatically different pound-for-pound performance, despite starting from the same baseline. The jaguar's lineage moved into South American environments where dense jungle, rivers, and hard-shelled prey like caimans and turtles placed a premium on raw, crushing force and whole-body power. The lion's lineage moved into open African savanna, where group hunting and endurance over long charges mattered more than individual power concentration. 2 to 3 million years of different environments was enough to produce the genetic gap that researchers measured. Evolution moved faster than most people assume when the selection pressure is consistent.
The comparison also highlighted something about the domestic cat that most people overlook entirely. Domestic cats share the basic muscle fiber composition of their wild relatives, heavily weighted toward fast-twitch, explosive fibers, and their strength per kilogram of body weight is significantly higher than most people realize. A domestic cat can jump 6 times its body height from a standing start, carry prey items heavier than itself, and generate grip force in its paws that is disproportionate to its size. The domestication process changed the cat's behavior, its social tolerance, and its communication with humans, but it left the underlying muscle genetics largely intact. The house cat sleeping on your couch is running on the same basic strength hardware as its wild relatives. The difference is motivation, not capability. The clouded leopard deserves a specific mention in the strength comparison because its jaw genetics are in a category of their own among smaller cats. The clouded leopard has the longest canine teeth relative to skull size of any living cat, proportionally longer than a lion's. The jaw musculature that supports those teeth shows genetic signatures more similar to the extinct saber-toothed cats than to any modern big cat. In terms of jaw-specific strength genetics, the clouded leopard sits above the jaguar. The jaw it carries is not the result of recent evolution. It's the preservation of an ancient design that most of the cat family moved away from millions of years ago, maintained in the clouded leopard by the specific demands of hunting in Southeast Asian forest canopy, where powerful bites on hard-to-reach prey are a regular requirement. The black-footed cat's position as the most extreme predator per gram of body weight also reflects something about how predatory genetics work at small body sizes. Small predators face a physical challenge that large predators don't. At very small body weights, the energy cost of a failed hunt is proportionally much higher. A tiger that misses a kill can go several days before hunger becomes critical. A black-footed cat that misses several hunts in a row is in immediate danger of starvation. This creates extreme selection pressure for efficiency and effectiveness in every single hunt. And over millions of years, it has produced predatory genetics in small cats that are, per unit of body mass, more extreme than anything in the large cat lineage. The black-footed cat's genome carries the evolutionary record of an animal that could never afford to be merely adequate. The research that made this comparison possible required advances in sequencing technology that only became available in the last 15 years. Earlier studies could compare cat species based on anatomy, behavior, and limited genetic markers, but they couldn't look directly at the specific genetic regions controlling muscle fiber composition across all 41 species simultaneously. When full genome sequences became available for most felid species, and researchers could compare them directly, the scale of the variation was immediately apparent. The differences between the jaguar and the cheetah in the relevant genetic regions were described by the researchers who first mapped them as larger than the differences between some mammal species that are not even closely related. The cat family looks uniform from the outside. The genomes tell a different story. The puma's genetic profile also explains a behavior that wildlife researchers have documented repeatedly, but that surprises most people. Pumas regularly take down prey that is vastly larger than themselves, and then drag it considerable distances to a safe location before feeding. Documented kills include elk that weigh 4 to 5 times the puma's body weight. The physics of moving that kind of weight require not just raw strength, but specific muscle architecture, particularly in the shoulders and hindquarters, that allows the cat to apply force efficiently at angles that pure bulk doesn't produce. The puma's genome shows exactly this architecture. Its shoulder musculature genes are more similar to the jaguar's than to the lion's, which is remarkable given that the puma and jaguar are on different evolutionary branches and developed their strength genetics independently.
Two different cats in two different environments arrived at similar genetic solutions to the same problem: how to handle prey much larger than yourself alone. The lion's position in the pound-for-pound comparison also connects to something visible in how lions actually hunt. In a pride hunt, individual lions don't typically generate maximum individual effort. They work in coordinated roles, with some individuals driving prey toward others, and the final takedown distributed across several animals. This cooperative system reduces the demand on any single individual's physical output, which over millions of years reduced the selection pressure for extreme pound-for-pound strength in individual lions. The pride replaced individual strength. A lion that was merely strong enough for its role in a group hunt survived just as well as one that was maximally strong, and over time, the population drifted toward the level of individual strength that group hunting required, not the maximum that individual hunting would have demanded. The genetics reflect this drift clearly. The full comparison leaves a picture of the cat family as a group of animals that look superficially similar, but carry fundamentally different physical designs underneath. The same basic body plan, the flexible spine, the forward-facing eyes, the retractable claws, the fast twitch muscle bias, has been modified by millions of years of different environments into variants that perform very differently when measured at the genetic level. The jaguar and the cheetah are both cats. They are both successful predators. Their strength genetics are so different that if you saw only those genomic regions and didn't know they came from cats, you might not immediately recognize them as close relatives. The gap that researchers found wasn't just larger than expected. It was large enough to change how researchers think about what it means for two species to belong to the same family.